at the top of the start list and the result sheets here. He's the Commonwealth Games record holder, he's the world lead, and now he's the Commonwealth Games record holder as well. Oh, it's hung in the air, it's out over 80 metres again. If the graphic's accurate, it's just short of his opening throw. That was his coach, Dylan Armstrong, who's a shot putter. I think he picked up at least one medal at the global stage, Dylan Armstrong. Not a few. Katzberg says they're kind of like yin and yang, that he's very chilled out, very relaxed, and he almost needs Dylan Armstrong to kind of wake him up and shake him up a little bit. And so they complement each other very well.
Well, the action is unfolding on the infield with Katzberg, and that game's record in a somewhat predictable form. The women's 10,000 metres, I suppose you could say, is predictable as well. They've gone incredibly slowly. The second lap was a 1:25. The first lap, remember, a 92. So it was a 92 followed by an 85. Now they come up to 1,000 metres, and something around 3:10, 3:20 would have been okay. 3:38. Very, very slow indeed. It's a slow job, basically, for these 15 women through the early laps. Nobody seems keen to take it on. Fifth or sixth from the back is Megan Keith. She'll be wondering when to make a move, the young Scot. She is as experienced as anybody in this field. There's quite a few athletes in there without much recent form, which makes it puts a huge question mark over the calibre of this field. Lauren Ryan there, right towards the back of the field, the Aussie, is a ninth placer at the World Championship. She's run just outside 30:30. She should be, there she is, actually in the middle of the pack in, what, about 8th place at the moment, Lauren Ryan. There's a couple of Aussies in this one. There's Ryan and then her teammate Rose Davies, who is almost identical in terms of her personal best, 30:34.
I think Rose Davies was very impressive at London Diamond League. It was Jess Hull in the end that won that 3,000 metres, but Rose Davies was just behind. So I think for recent form, I think I favour the most in this race is perhaps Rose Davies, who's just out of shot. You can see two Ugandan athletes pushing the pace here at the front. And I do wonder, for some of the athletes lagging in this second pack, a lot of them are running the 5,000 in a few days' time. I think they will not be wanting to waste energy here in this 10,000. That being said, if it keeps going super, super slow, they might start to get frustrated and just think it's not going to play into their hands. And there are a few changes, a few bursts of speed going on further down in the pack as they realise perhaps Chalangat is opening up a proper lead here. Rebecca Chalangat is in the front.
Yeah, Chalangat at last has taken the race by the horns and pushed on, and this is good to see. And the others have got to respond, because Chalangat, while embodying Ugandan vest, you've got to give enormous respect to. She's only just broken 33 minutes this year, but she has run 31:21, and I suspect she's capable of going a lot quicker than that. One of her teammates there in second place, and the third teammate moving up round the outside. So the three Ugandans beginning to make their presence felt here. Chalangat, that strange arm carriage, hardly uses her arms. They're right up high across her chest. And if she's most comfortable running that way, that's what works. Megan Keith has responded to this surge, as has the pack. She's back in, 8th place at the moment in the blue of Scotland there. The Aussies right behind her in 9th and 10th. And, yeah, Chet Toya leading the chase there with Wanza of Kenya back in 4th place, and in 3rd place, Rebecca Mwangi. So, some respectability brought to this one now. They're coming up towards 2,000 metres. The first 1,000 was unbelievably slow. 3:38 the first 1,000. They go through there in 6:51. And yeah, what does that make it, Hannah? About 2:40, 3:13, something like that?
And that's moving it back towards respectable, and that's a tempo that's going to feel a lot more natural to these women. They were almost falling over themselves at the 3:38, but that change in pace, it can still feel a bit tricky for these athletes, and I think that's why we saw much of the pace, the pack, wait and just adjust their pace kind of slowly and calmly to get themselves back to Chalangat. Diana Wanza is the athlete that's swung round into the lead. But you look at the other athletes behind, I don't think we'll see those gaps open up now. Not now they're running at a decent clip and a decent tempo. I think they won't want to give away any meters, any gaps, and they're really going to stick with this lead group for as long as they can now.
Well, my fear is that Chalangat, having hit the front for a lap and a half or so and brought some respectability to it, maybe a couple of laps, it leads back into the pack. She's in about 7th place on the inside, and the pace has slowed once more. Wanza and Mwangi just loping along. Look at Mwangi, she's almost jogging, no knee lift at all on those orange spikes. She's a tiny little figure, is Rebecca Mwangi. She has never broken 31.5 minutes. She was based in Japan for a number of years, was Mwangi. She's only 25 now. She completed her high school diploma there in Japan before joining the Daiso Women Ekiden team. And the Japanese, when they do take on these Kenyan athletes, teach them Japanese and teach them so much about the culture that they've moved to. It's a fascinating change.
In round 2 of the men's hammer, still got to lead the Ethan Katzberg. Anthony Barnes is down in 3rd place with quite far down really in the first round with 64.96. Looks like it could be a bit better from Barnes here in round 2. Just holding the national record this season at 70. Oh no, he's thrown 72.66. Apologies, I was making a note to myself that he's not too far off the national record. But Barnes today improving from 64.96 to 67.49 in the second round. There it is, confirmation up on the screen. That puts the Kiwi athlete up into 3rd place.
Back to the 10,000 metres, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 in that lead pack. The 2 Australians still hanging in there. Lauren Ryan and her compatriot Rose Davies. They have both got plenty of racing experience. So has Megan Keith. I wonder if they can create an upset here, although it is the East Africans who dominate at the moment. The first 7 places belonging to them. Florence Nyonkuru of Rwanda is in the blue there in 4th place, just tracking everything that's going on with the 3 Kenyans, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, then the blue of Rwanda, and then the Ugandans in 5th, 6th and 7th. Almost like a pre-arranged little bit of choreography going on here, but it is not much quicker. They haven't accelerated or maintained any strong tempo.
No, they're still just holding that pace, aren't they? Every now and again it picks up a little bit. Megan Keith's doing really well though. She's keeping herself in contention with that front part of the pack. But once again, as they're coming round the bend into the home straight again, they're just starting to slow down a little bit.
Check back in with the women's Air 57 shot put. Christelle Robichaud of Canada up next in the seat. We do seem to be getting further. Every athlete that sits down and picks up their shot is throwing ever so slightly further than the previous one. Women's shot put really building. Canada's Robichaud getting closer to the 7-metre mark here. She's been well over 6 metres in all of her efforts so far. Robichaud strapped into her seat, and Danny was explaining to us they're not allowed to lift up off that seat, that's why they're anchored down. I don't like that look. Okay. A raised eyebrow at her own throat. Wow, see why. It's a really good effort here in the 5th round. 6.69. So just underneath her season's best I've got down here. I know it's been credited as personal best on the screen, but she has thrown 6.71 this year.
Chepchoyak leading for the moment. There's been quite a few changes in the lead, but no really injection of pace. Mwangi Chebet in 2nd and 3rd. Nyonkuru back in 4th place there for Rwanda in that blue strip. And then another of the Ugandans, Chebet. Megan Keith up there in 6th at the moment on the inside. But it's tiring, you know. I mean, I've run in 10,000s like this where you're avoiding elbows and heels in front of you, and if you're in the pack, you're constantly busy trying to avoid running into somebody. They went through 3,000, by the way, in 10:17, so the kilometre splits have gone 3:38, 3:13. That was a massive 25-second acceleration, but then 3:26, another very slow third kilometre. So they are just easing along at the moment, not testing anybody really with any real potential of getting in the top half dozen places. Although it is tiring, A, with the concentration you have to put in this sort of race, and B, with the sort of accelerations, it becomes almost a sort of fartlek, that changing of pace. You're having to concentrate and accelerate and slow down, accelerate and slow down, and avoid people's heels all the time.
When you look at an athlete like Joy Cheptoyak, who's leading at the moment for Uganda, with that second place at the World Cross Country, does that make her best place to cope with that change in pace? Because I think that's a massive part of cross-country running. You hit obstacles, you turn corners, you know, that course in Tallahassee, you're running through water, you're running through mud, and if Cheptoyak can kind of weather that storm, perhaps she's not going to be bothered by those fluctuations in pace.
No, I think you're right, and another thing we have to look at Cheptoyak in recent weeks, what she's achieved. She ran in the Washington DC 10 miles, she ran 50:41 for a 10 miles. That's much quicker than the tempo they've been running so far in this race. She is fabulously strong, great speed, endurance, and I get the feeling that she's controlling this at the moment. I think I said at the beginning that she's probably my favourite on the back of that silver medal at the World Cross Country. But I'm not sure what the others can do to challenge her, really, because she's got it all. She's got speed, endurance, and good speed as well.
Let's check back in with the men's hammer. Yusuf Kasidis of Cyprus had a foul in the first round. Trying to get himself a mark on the board. He's ranked third here, the former World Junior champion. And Cyprus did get bronze last time round with Porsanidis. That's much better. Much better for Kasidis, up towards the silver medal mark there. That's with Rowan Hamilton at 72.94. Kasidis just peering around cage, wheeling it down the field, and it's at 72.65, so he's 30 centimetres adrift of bronze medal, of the silver medal, but he has put himself in the bronze medal position. Just one more athlete left to go here in the third round. It is Porsanidis, the bronze medalist from last time around.
13 in this pack then in the women's 10,000 metres. They're not far from halfway now. They went through 4K in 13:35. That was at 3:18, so it's gone 3:38, 3:13, 3:26, 3:18. It has picked up a little bit. Cheptoyak here beginning to ask one or two more questions. We may see the pack whittled down a little bit over these next couple of laps, but over 15 minutes on the clock now, and certainly several of these athletes should be going to 5,000 right now.
At some point you're going to want to see some longer injections of pace, aren't you, to try and break that pack up a little bit, because they're going to start getting twitchy. They've still got a long way to go, but they're going to start wanting to pick this pace up a little bit.
Well, they are indeed, yes. It is picking up a little because they're gradually being reduced to single file. There's not the same packing as we had earlier. Wanza, Diana Wanza, the African champion over 10,000 from back in May, in second place, bouncing along with a slightly extravagant style, but looks very comfortable. She's a nice-looking runner, is Diana Wanza. Megan Keith in the blue, Scotland. Most of the spectators in the stadium, of course, will be screaming for her as they go through 4,800 metres. That was a 76.6 lap, that one. The opening lap, remember, was 92, so they have picked it up. And I wonder if there will be some kind of a psychological button pressed or lever pulled as they go through 5,000 metres. That's where they get to when they get to the end of this back straight now. It'll be 5,000 metres, but as you can see, they're way outside 33-minute pace at the moment. The slowest ever 10,000 in the Commonwealth Games, 33:40 back in 1998. So here comes 5,000 metres. Let's see what they go through in, and we can compare the two halves. 3:14, 16:49 at 5K, and that's 3:14, well, it's almost the equal fastest of the race, with 3:13 in that second kilometre.
So through halfway in the 10K, and the bar at 2 meters and 5 centimeters here in the men's high jump. And this does not look good for the 2022 bronze medalist in Birmingham. Shankar is limping off here. And I think the Indian athlete just saying, I cannot jump anymore. That is such a shame for Shankar. Won India's first ever medal in this event in Birmingham. He's going to leave Glasgow here with 1 foul and his head in his hands. As an athlete, you try and con yourself, you try and say the pain you've been going through, perhaps the injury you're dealing with will evaporate in the field of play, but unfortunately it's not always the case. Have a look in at the men's hammer as well. It's round 3. It's Jake Norris just towards the end of round 2 actually. It's on 65.13. And not anymore, up towards 70 metres for Norris. Mentioned he's ranked 4th coming into this event on season's bests. A bit of an improvement for Norris here. At the moment, the medal's out over 70 metres, out over 80 metres if you want the gold with Ethan Katzberg. But Norris looks kind of nonplussed with that. Not giving much away here. Norris and Nick Ridgeon, his coach there, but 69.56 for Jake Norris. So an improvement, he moves himself up to 4th.
So no changes then in this women's 10,000 metres. The English athletes, Izzy Fry and Poppy Tank, are still up there towards the back of this pack. 3 Kenyans, 3 Ugandans, a couple of Australians. The Scottish vest of Megan Keith is there. And Cheptoyet looking around to just see if there's any damage been done by this slightly more respectable pace she's been laying down. Remember that 5th kilometre was at 3:14. That was 2 laps ago, but it's still utter dominance from the East Africans at the moment. It should be fascinating to see what Megan Keith can do when the acceleration does go in, because soon, I would have thought, Danny, somebody's going to lose patience in this 10,000 metres. We come towards that stage as those with strength but are not confident about their kick finish.
Yeah, it's going to come down, isn't it, to whether they're confident enough for the sprint finish, or whether they want to take it on now and start stretching this pack out a little bit and eliminate some of these fast finishers. As they come into the bell again.
Yeah,
he's still Chellinger at the front, which is a slight change now in the lead.
So that's 6,020.02. And that means that was a 3:12 that kilometre. That is the quickest of the race so far. So we are beginning to see it cranked up a little bit. Mwangi, the little Kenyan 25-year-old African silver medalist over 10,000 back in 2024. She was the one who was based in Japan. It's Kenya, 1, 2, 3. One's up leading, bouncing along with that beautiful style of hers. Look at that, really gallops, doesn't she? It's quite magnificent. In wearing 13 in her shorts is Miriam Chebet. She's a 30.27 athlete, one of the quickest in the field, in fact, and we know she's in good shape. 32.09 at altitude. Nairobi is not hanging about. The altitude, of course, where there's thinner air means it's much, much tougher to run in endurance events. And back in 3rd place, it's Molepa Mwangi now. And single file it is, and one gets the impression that they really have turned it on now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There are 12 now in this pack, and all of a sudden, in the space of a few hundred metres, the 2 English athletes have dropped away and are struggling. And I think it's the Canadian, Florence Caron, who's also struggling back there, just checking. Yes, it is. Izzy Fry, Florence Caron of France, of Canada, excuse me, and Poppy Tank in a little trio having their own battle, but they're 30 or 40 metres down now.
Yeah, Megan Keith as well is just starting to slip backwards, isn't she? That injection of pace by one phenomenal injection of pace. She decided she'd had enough. It was time to stretch this pack out a little bit.
Well, it's classical championship 10,000 metre racing, really. You get those first 10 or 15 laps out of the way, and then everybody gets their racing brain into gear, and away they go. Cheptoyet, who did quite a lot of the early damage, the Ugandan, in 3rd place. 7th in those World Championships last year in Tokyo, in the sweltering heat of Tokyo. It could hardly be more different, these conditions here, as they come through with 8 laps to run. It's still the lead and the aggressive running being done by Diana Wanza.
Chris Bennett into the circle for Scotland. Very well so far. He did actually retire for a few years, Chris Bennett, and he came out of retirement for this championships here in Glasgow for his 4th appearance in a Scottish vest. And let's see where that gets that. Could be an improvement on his 67.17. That's still his best throw in the opening round. And that throw there, well, hang on a minute, his lifetime best, 68 metres 53. He's right up there, the Scot. And what a story that would be. Retired, took a break, came back to qualify for this championships. And I think he's just extended his lifetime best by just under a metre, 69.48. And Bennett gave a very funny interview on Scottish radio this week. He's been doing the rounds on social media, saying he's got 1 week left, 1 week guest as a hammer thrower. Maybe he'll rethink that after a lifetime best.
Well, they're racing properly now. That 7th kilometre with a 22.57 clocking was a 2.55. Wanza really asking the questions now. The Aussies are still hanging in there at the back of this group. The 2 Australians giving a good account of themselves at the moment. Lauren Ryan and Rose Davies. Megan Keith in the blue Scotland left a picture. They're lapping athletes now. And Wanza checking over her shoulder. Cheptoy covering everything she's doing. Rose Davies moving down the outside, trying to get up towards the front end of this one, staying in touch, because you don't want an acceleration to go in at the front end and you to respond to it with a delay, then a gap forms.
Check back in with the women's shot put, Judy Charlton, 5.97 so far. That was her opening throw. She's been credited with 2nd place at the moment. Charlton, perhaps I'm not sure the system's all caught up with all the different throws, but we're enjoying watching these athletes and just the way they can adapt the shot put to athletes that have to do it seated. The athletes, as we mentioned when they started this competition, strapped into their chairs. And they do all 6 throws, one after another, very different. You can see some of the other shot put competitions, para and on the athletic side, they throw one after another and they get that little bit of a recovery. They get a few seconds off, a few minutes off their seated shot putters. Hitting these throws back to back, and great to see Judy Charlton enjoying herself. 6.19 and his season's best there in round 2.
So just over 5 laps to go. They've gone through 7 kilometres in 22.57, as I said. That was at 2.55. When they come through the line this time, it'll be 5 laps to go, 2 kilometres to go, but it's still Wanza playing the patient game here, knowing it's hurting them. The Australians beginning to make their presence more felt here, with Rose Davies up into 5th place. Megan Keith just moving past one of the Kenyans who's having a bad patch at the back of the pit field, and to the left of picture there. 9 athletes we're down to. They go through there in 25.58 at 8K. 25.58. And that means they just run a 3:03 after a 2:55. It was the 16th and 17th laps that did the damage. They were a 69 and a 68. Now she kicks in really hard with just over a mile to run. And Wanza with that lovely galloping style, goodness me, the high knees. She looks so light on her feet, doesn't she? Diana Wanza, 27 years old. Her lifetime best is 31.33. I don't think she's going to run that fast today, but her potential is quite massive.
Yeah, and the faster she goes, the more relaxed her running rhythm looks, the more comfortable she looks running. And you can just see the pack, like the rest of the pack now are just going to have to try and get back onto her. They can't let her open up too much of a gap.
Well, that was that just checking, actually, that 8th kilometre was a 3:01. So a 2:55 and a 3:01 has been the last 2 laps, and she's building up a lead here. She is pouring it on. She's got 20 metres as she goes through there with 4 laps to run, about 27.06. And it's Rose Davies, the leading athlete from the rest of the pack that has responded best to this surge from Diana Wanza. But it's surely a gold medal winning surge, because she has blasted through this last couple of laps, and the field that had looked so comfortable for some 7 kilometres or more has just been ripped apart by this surge over the last kilometre. Wanza from Davies, Nyonkuru having a fabulous run here, the Rwandan back in 3rd place, and then the trio of Ugandans in 4th, 5th, 6th, Cheptoyek, Chebet and Chalanga. Wow, what a different picture we've got from that just, 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, Wanza's really stretched this field out now, hasn't she? And Davis is going to have a lot of work to do to get back onto her.
Well, Eilish McColgan won a ding-dong of a race with a big sprint 4 years ago in Birmingham. Her time 30:48. That was a quick race, beating Irene Cheptai of Kenya. This one very different. It's been slowish race with just a very quick closing last few laps. She goes through with 3 laps to run, or about 28:15 there, does Diana Wanza. Her closest company, Rose Davies of Australia, who's been dragged out, even though the gap's about 15 metres between them, is being dragged along, and actually, for her benefit, maybe a silver medal in the offing now, because that gap back to Nyonkuru of Rwanda is about 35 metres, maybe 40 metres between 2nd and 3rd. There's going to be a real battle for 3rd place with 3 athletes, Nyonkuru of Rwanda, and then the Ugandan pairing of Cheptoyek and Chebet. But Wanza here can't relax. It's interesting, isn't it? Rose Davies just keeping a little bit of a pressure applied here. And actually, as I say that, I think she's closing.
It does look, and I think Davis feels that she can start clawing her back in now. This is the time if she's going to make that move, and she's really starting to close that gap down now.
There is some phenomenally fast laps there from the Kenyan, 67.68, a 2:51 penultimate kilometre. I just wonder if that was slightly too fast, because Rose Davies, she knows there's no danger behind her, the Australian. She's got nothing to lose here. She's absolutely eating up that gap, and she's going to pull alongside the leader with just 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Wanza's going to know she's given up that big lead now, isn't she? Davies is filled with confidence. You can just see it. She looks confident, she looks relaxed, and Wanza's now trying to hang on.
I think you called that right, Hannah, because it is so easy in a distance race to blast away and let the adrenaline get you. And you see Wanza there, her head leaning to one side. She's under pressure. Rose Davies has judged this right so far. Whether she wins or not, she's run a brilliant race. There's the battle for 3rd and 4th. Nyonkuru and Chebet. That's the battle for the bronze medal. But as they go into the final, penultimate final bend, Rose Davies here is pulling away from Diana Wanza. And this could be one in which the East Africans are beaten yet again. Eilish McColgan 4 years ago beating Cheptai of Kenya into silver. Sheila Chepkirui taking a brilliant bronze for Kenya. But look at this from Rose Davies. Quite astonishing. 10th in the World Championships last year. She comes to the bell this time, goes through there in 30:34, and she has blasted away from Wanza. The gap is about 35 metres now between the Australian and the Kenyan. She was only 17th in the last Commonwealth Games in the 5,000 metres, Rose Davies. But has she come on in leaps and bounds, the New South Wales-born athlete? She was 12 years old when she first started running. At 14, she was the best in the nation, clocking 2:08 for 800 metres and 4:27 for 1,500 metres. But her coach, Scott Westcott, has done an incredible job. He himself was 4th in the Commonwealth Games back in 2006, Westcott, in 2:11, his personal best. Here's the battle for the bronze medal. Nyonkuru easing past Chebet. But there is the champion about to be crowned. Rose Davies for Australia has destroyed Wanza, who got her pace all wrong over the last 4 or 5 laps. She surged away to a lead and has died a terrible death here, has been beaten by Rose Davies, who is champion of the Commonwealth Games at 10,000 metres in 2026. Her final circuit says it all. 65 seconds, by far the quickest. Brave running from Wanza, but she misjudged it to get that silver medal. And here's the battle for the bronze, and it is taken indeed by the Rwandan. Brilliant running there from Nyonkuru to take that 3rd place. The winning time, the season's best for Rose Davies, 31:39, and Australia have their first goal of the Games in the track and field athletics, absolutely superb. What a dream run that was for Rose Davies.
Well, just a note there, it says 2:49 for the last kilometre, but that wasn't from Rose Davies. You know, she was off that pace, she was further behind. So I hate to think what her last kilometre was. It was absolutely phenomenal judgment of pace from Davies. She was very measured in the penultimate kilometre, looking around her, making sure she got herself free of that battle for the bronze and the fourth place. And then once she knew she was free of that battle, it was for me at that moment that Rose Davies went, hey, why not? I might as well go and have a go at Wanza. And it would have been a wonderful lap for her when she realised she was just eating up that gap on the Kenyan metre by metre.
Because she found herself, David, in that middle ground, didn't she? Just on her own for a number of laps. And she just had to keep believing in herself that she was going to be able to claw that back at some point. Wanza paid the price for putting the hammer down so hard. And just couldn't continue it. And just as soon as she knew Davies was closing in on her, you could just see her start to crumble.
You don't often see an athlete misjudge their closing surge over the last couple of kilometres quite as drastically as that. Diana Wanza, I'm not sure she'd have beaten Rose Davies in any circumstances. Davies was so strong in those final couple of laps. But nonetheless, Diana Wanza looked magnificent. I think about 4 laps out, I said, surely she's heading for gold here, because Rose Davies was about 30 metres back at that point. But she collapsed in dramatic style. She does get a super silver for Kenya, but the misjudgment there from Diana Wanza, she will watch that again, the 27-year-old, I'm sure, and wish she could have a rerun of those last 5 or 6 laps.
And Nyankura of Rwanda celebrating here. I think she's the first Rwandan to pick up a medal in athletics at the Commonwealth Games, and did it in fantastic form. She was under intense pressure from Esther Chebet, who were battling it out for that 3rd and 4th place. But Nyankura getting the better of the Ugandan by just a couple of tenths.
And that's the first time Australia have won gold in the 10,000 metres at the Commonwealth Games on the women's side. There's Rose Davies just easing past Wanza, who could do nothing to stop the Australian. Look at that smile. The smile of gold, knowing it's coming your way. Everybody in Australia, I'm sure, watching this, punching the air in their living rooms, because that is special. The time ended up being very solid indeed, 31.39. I thought they were heading for like 32.5 at one point, but the second half was super quick. I'm trying to work out the splits. They went through the first 5K in 16.14, but it stayed so slow. The impressive stats were all in those last couple of kilometres, weren't they? And as you said, Hannah, quite rightly, that's a penultimate kilometre at 2:52, and the final kilometre, well, it was crikey, it was probably about 2:40 for Rose Davies, something in that sort of region. That's the battle for the bronze. Florence Nyankuru of Rwanda take it by a couple of metres. Esther Chebet, the best of the Ugandans this occasion, setting a personal best nonetheless. That's brilliant from Chebet, 31.55, and Lauren Ryan of Australia making it 2 and 5 for the Aussies with 5th place, 31.59. What a great run from her as well. A season's best for Lauren Ryan, of course. 10,000 is not run very often. That's why you get season's best in a tactical race in the Commonwealth Games. There it is, Rose Davies, a superb gold for Australia in the women's 10,000 metres. Diana Wanza, the silver for Kenya, the bronze going for Nyankuru of Rwanda. One of the shocks of this first day.
Tremendous performance there from Rose Davies of Australia. And a little bit earlier on, we saw the first gold medal of the athletics awarded. It was to England's Sophie Hahn. She regained the Commonwealth Games T38 100-metre title that she won in 2018, back on the top step of the podium in Glasgow, holding off Wales's Olivia Breen, who won this one in Birmingham 4 years ago, and 18-year-old Maddie Down taking the bronze for England with a personal best. A great performance from Sophie Hahn there, and afterwards she spoke to Rona McLeod.
Sophie, fantastic, and I could tell your joy as you crossed the line. Tell me what this means to you.
It means a lot, you know. It's been a hard few years, like mentally and physically. It's been tough, but I feel like I have an amazing support from friends, family, an amazing coach, amazing team, so a big thanks to them for helping me become Commonwealth champion.
Can you tell me about that journey? Because when you were younger, you were winning everything. Tell me what happened next and how that impacted you.
I think it's been tough. It's almost like, you know, when you're at the top, and I feel like it's amazing to stay at the top, but the pressure just comes. And I feel like you get knocked down, you get to rock bottom. You either walk away or think, I'm not done yet, I need to rebuild myself, repeat myself. So, yeah.
What did you do? What made the difference?
I think I've just been like, I sort of spoke to the sports psychologist as well. It really helped me, gave some good tips in terms of just believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then it's not going to happen. So just think, you are good, you're good, you're coming back, enjoy the ride, enjoy the sport.
Was part of that you manifest standing at the top of the podium, or are you the kind of athlete that does not want to think about that?
I feel like as I came into this, I thought enjoying the sport, just do your best. Training's been going well, and I feel like to come away a Commonwealth champion, that means a lot. This means a lot more than, it's a long time since I've won a gold, so this means a lot. Yeah.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you, thanks very much.
What a resilient athlete, Sophie Hahn, and a gold medalist in Glasgow. We are going to leave Scotstoun momentarily because we're going to pay our first visit of the night to Tollcross and update you on the swimming. 9 medals on offer in the penultimate night of action, and your commentators are Liz Johnson, Hannah Miley and Andy Jameson.
Good burn up there in 1. Everybody's going to be watching him. Hooley's the fastest seed in 4, but look at that in 3, the world record holder and the champion from the 105. It's just 1 length to the ball. It's the men's 50 metres breaststroke final. The world record holder, the defending champion, Adam Ramsey Peaty goes in lane 3, but by far the best start I think has gone to lane 4. That's Michael Hooley of South Africa. Also going well is the yellow hat of Sam Williamson in 5. Peaty's starting to come through the red hat there, but it looks like it's Hooley at the moment. Hooley and Williamson, 4 and 5. Hooley and Williamson coming back. Williamson's going to get it. He does. Oh my goodness me. 26.50, and Sam Williamson does the double. He does the 50 and the 100 metres double. That's an extraordinary swim. Oh my goodness me. He's come back from a terrible knee injury, and he was so emotional to win the 100 metres breaststroke, and now he's won gold in the 50. Extraordinary swimming.
Absolutely amazing. What a swim. 100 Commonwealth champion, now the 50 Commonwealth champion as well. And Michael Hooley was leading for the majority of the race, right up until they hit that red zone of the last 5 metres. That was, I could not have called that right at the very beginning. What an exceptional swim.
Well, the most remarkable thing for me, I think, is that Hooley went quicker going through the 50 split to his 100 metres on the semi-final. Quite extraordinary. Look at this. Look at this. Well, the race is it's under review at the moment, so they're just going to check a couple of things. But look at this. This is Hooley. He was leading. Ramsey Peaty in the red hat, the world's record holder. And look at that last 5 metres. Well, Sam Williamson was just brilliant. It's been confirmed as official. The new Commonwealth champion of the men's 50 metres breaststroke. It is Sam Williamson of Australia, and that's an outstanding swim. Silver to Hooley of South Africa, and Ramsey Peaty wins bronze. Bronze on the 100, and now here bronze on the 50. What a swim from Williamson.
It was incredible. My stress levels are not doing very well here.
So Sam Williamson, extraordinary swim from him, wins gold on the 50 metres breaststroke to add to that 100 gold he won. Hooley the silver, and Adam Ramsey Peaty is 2nd bronze.
Sam, adding another gold to the medal tally. You are on fire this week. How are you feeling?
I'm exhausted. I tell you what, I think the emotions of the last 36 hours have been just phenomenal. I really don't know what to say at the moment. I really don't know what to think.